are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Virginia SBDC's webinar series, Google and Beyond, Marketing and Managing on the Web. This series is designed to take a look at tools and techniques to help small businesses take their business to the next level. Today's webinar is Google Drive for Small Business, Document Storage, Production, and Collaboration in the Cloud. All of our Google and Beyond webinars are presented by Ray Sidney Smith, web and mobile strategist and author of Solo Mo Success, Social Media, Local and Web Small Business Marketing Strategy Explained, and president of W3 Consulting, a digital business strategy and training firm. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type those questions into the question window, and Ray will do his best to answer them. Without further ado, here's Ray Sidney Smith.
Thank you, Tracy, and thank you to the Virginia SBDC Network for having me here on the Beyond Google Marketing and Managing on the Web series. So today, as Tracy said, we're going to be talking about Google Drive for small business, and just a couple housekeeping items. As Tracy said, you have the question panel. Please feel free to ask questions. So, plug in the questions and ask Tracy, and she'll get those, she'll interrupt me and allow me to answer your questions and so on and so forth. So please do that. If you have questions afterward, on the final slide we'll have my email address. But generally, questions at W3 Consulting on Twitter get answered much faster. So go ahead and hashtag that Beyond Google. I'll be happy to answer those there. And of course, follow at Virginia SBDC to learn more about the services and programs that the Virginia Small Business Development Center Network has for you upcoming. Okay, so a couple of housekeeping items out of the way. And let's talk about our agenda for today. So Google Drive is a product that was launched in 2012, and I want to just talk a little bit about what Google Drive is today, not particularly in comparison to what it was in 2012, which is a very different product, but I really do want to talk about what Google Drive is, go over a couple of items regarding that, and then I want to take you into the product itself. I'll take you into my own Google Drive account and sort of show you around the basic account settings, okay, so that we can sort of see it in and running. And I want to take you then around the functional features that you would use upon entering each of the various different parts of Google Drive. Okay, so we'll do that. Okay. Next up, we'll do question and answer, and we'll close out with any questions and answers that we come up with. All right, so let's get started with what is Google Drive. Okay, so Google Drive itself is pretty simple. At its core, Google Drive is a web-based file storage service, and I actually can't pull it up on screen for you right now, but I just wanted to give you sort of a description of it so that you have an idea. So you download this application, and a lot of people get this sort of messed up in their head, but stick with me. You download a small application, and what it does is it puts a file folder on your desktop. Okay, or wherever you actually want to put it. You can put it inside of your My Documents folder. If you're on the Windows platform, you can put it inside of your personal user folder if you want to, if you're on a Mac. So you put this folder onto your computer, and it's a special kind of folder because what it does is that any file you put in it, it goes ahead and synchronizes that across Google's system. And so you can actually download that same application and put it on multiple computers, and those documents will stay in synchronization across them. So I open up a document on this laptop that I have in front of me. I go ahead and edit the document, save it, and close it. Now when I go to my other laptop or other computer back at the office or somewhere else, I open it up, document synchronizes, and I have basically the same document to open up and edit live there, okay? And this does this across every file that's within the Google Drive folder. The files have to be inside the Google Drive folder, so you can't have a file outside of it. And once you have it in there, it's there securely saved and backed up by Google. So pretty cool service in general. For the individual services, you actually get 15 gigabytes free across Google Drive, Gmail, and Google Photos, basically Google Picasa, which became Google Photos. Okay, so you get that amount of storage on the personal side. I'm actually talking today about the business side. Google Drive for Business is a product that's built within the Google Apps for Work suite. Okay, so it's one of the products you get by subscribing to Google Apps for Work. Okay, so Google Apps for Work is a price-based service. It's a fee-based monthly service, so $5 a month gives you 30 gigabytes of storage. You can get additional storage for $1.99 a month, which gives you 100 gigabytes. Okay, so if you upgrade, you have the base 30 gigabytes, you get the additional storage, you have 130 gigabytes per user that you upgrade that storage for. So remember, it's $5 per month per user. Okay, so if you need the extra storage space, you can just upgrade for the extra $2 a month. That makes about $7 per month per user, and you've got 130 gigabytes per user that you have on your system. You don't have to upgrade everyone at the same time. If you upgrade to the premium service, you then have, it's a $10 per month. You have unlimited storage for Google Drive, and that gives you the admin console within Google Apps for Work and the Google Vault product, which I've talked about in prior webinars. Okay, so this is how it works. I have Google Apps for Work, and in my particular case, I have a very large storage account. So my Google Apps for Work, I very rarely actually, my Google Apps for Work account, I very rarely worry about the storage space in it because I have another Google Apps for Work account and I just keep offloading it. So you'll see when I actually go into the interface, I'm nearing that storage capacity. I'm just going to move that stuff off of it and put it into another storage account and be done with it. But that being the case, at some point I'm going to upgrade to the higher service. I might decide to upgrade by getting additional storage, paying the additional $2 per month, or upgrading to the premium service if I want the admin console and so on and so forth. So that's sort of how you play the game. You decide on what you need in terms of storage. But as soon as you need more storage than 130 gigabytes, you should then move to the $10 per month per user. There's a question?
Yep, there is a question, Ray. Through the terms of service, does Google have access to read/view my files within Drive? And if so, can Google view both personal and business accounts?
I'm gonna talk about that. So whoever asked the question, please hold on. I'll be happy to answer that. So good question. Great. Okay. So moving right along, Google created Google Drive in 2012, but it had been developing all of these subproducts that would eventually be pulled into Google Drive thereafter. So Google, created Google Drive in order to compete with Dropbox, Box, and a bunch of other services, right? And then they decided to actually pull together the Google documents, which people call Google Docs, Slides, which is sort of like Microsoft PowerPoint. So documents or docs is like Microsoft Word, Sheets is like Excel, Slides is like PowerPoint, and they sort of pull them into the Google Drive product. So today when we talk about Google Drive, we're actually talking about the web-based file storage service, and we're talking about the document, Slides, and Sheets and all the other applications that fit inside of Google Drive now. Okay, so understand that sometimes there can be some confusion about what part's Google Drive and what part is everything else. And in essence, Google Drive is everything. It includes online storage, and it also includes all these applications that sit within the ecosystem, the platform that is Google Drive now. The other really great part about Google Drive is that it has all of these collaborative functions, which I'll show you in a little while. And so the collaborative functions are in sort of three broad categories. One, you can chat with other people. So if you open up a document and you share that document, which is the second feature, you can share documents with other people through the Google system, and that person sometimes doesn't even need a Google account in order to be able to see, but in order to edit the document with you, you would then need to also have, the person receiving would also need a Google account in order to be able to do that. A Google account does not mean a Gmail account. A Google account means that you can use any email address you want to create an account through Google, in this case Google Drive. So if you go to drive.google.com, you can go ahead and use whatever email address you want, your business email address, or another email address that you have, and create a Google account and then have access to Google Drive. Now that's not the case. That's for anyone else. For you, you will have a Google Apps for Work account, and it will likely be your name at yourbusiness.com. So you have those collaborative functions. You'll be able to then chat with that person live. You could also chat with 10 people, 20, 500, 5,000 people at the same time. So the collaborative functions built into Google Drive allows you to be able to establish this collaborative, platform, space for people to be able to work all live. Now, like I said, once you go into the sharing components, if you share a document with someone, you can share it with them just outright and say, you can view this document. They don't need a Google account to do that. They can just see the document. They can even comment on the document without an account. And then if they need to live edit it with you, basically edit it with you, even asynchronously edit it with you, meaning that I could edit it, later this afternoon, and you'll edit it some other time tomorrow. We can go ahead and do that editing all in the same document. We can have it open at the same time and see each other editing the document. You can literally see, my name, pop up and doing all the editing together. So really cool tool for being able to edit documents. Google Drive, and in this case Google Docs, Slides, or Sheets, when you are doing this kind of live editing together, it's not really best for hundreds and hundreds of pages of documents, right? Of a document. It's really good for maybe smaller scale documents, those that are maybe under 50 to 100 pages. Those documents tend to work well within a Google Documents environment. Beyond that, then it becomes a little bit more cumbersome because you have so many people involved in the document that it becomes a little bit unwieldy. But it can do it. I think that you should sort of keep your mind in a safe space. And most people are not editing documents of that kind of size, so it should deal with 95% of what you would be handling in terms of document sizes. When it comes to Google Sheets, though, so that's Docs and Slides. For Google Sheets, it happens to manage a very large number of sheets within a workbook. So Google Sheets is like an Excel workbook. You open it up, you can have multiple spreadsheets within that workbook, and I'll show you that in a little while as well. And so you can have hundreds of people working in those. Because it's cell-based and not really, it's you have cells, rows, columns, sheets, and then the workbook. That whole structure allows for a lot of people to be editing at the same time. So if you need to do some live editing with a lot of people, Google Sheets is probably the better tool for it. Okay, so moving right along. Google Drive also includes Google Forms. Google Forms is a tool which allows you to be able to create online forms, which you can then embed on a website. You can actually just have people go to the link, and it's a live form for people to fill out. You could create surveys, you can create questionnaires, you could do all of those kinds of things within Google Forms. It's not the most sophisticated tool, but it is competent for probably 75 to 80% of what you would need from a contact form to a quick survey, an annual survey for clients, and those kinds of things. It doesn't do very complex conditionals. It's not going to be able to do those kinds of complicated algorithms to move people back and forward and not display a question if people answer a question different ways. But by and large, you can have people answer a wide variety of surveys using Google Forms. It actually sits on top of the Google Sheets application. So when you use Google Forms, it actually puts all of the data into a Google Sheet. You can actually tell Google Forms to put it into another sheet. So instead of creating its own responses form, you can actually say, I want you to put this data when it's filled out in this Google Sheet. So if you happen to be using data that flows from one Google Sheets workbook to another, you can actually streamline that by connecting the Google form to it, and therefore helping it sort of move that data along in a much more automated fashion. You can create a better workflow. Finally, Google Drawing. Google Drawing is sort of the unsung, it's not a hero, sort of just not spoken about very much tool within Google Drive, and that's because it's a vector graphic and chart creation tool, and people just don't use it that much. But it is a very, very handy and unique tool to have around. So if you need to create vector graphics or charts, Google Drawing is the best way to do it within the other applications outside of a spreadsheet. So, if you have data within Google Sheets, for instance, you would render the chart from, Google Sheets, maybe, by creating a pivot table and then whatever, and then creating a chart or graph from the data set within Google Sheets. But you're not going to use Google Drawing. You're not going to use those kinds of pieces of data within Google Documents or Slides, where you might need it to be a little bit more pretty, right? Because Google Sheets graphs and so forth can sometimes not be so manipulable. So Google Drawing can really help you do that. You can create a pie chart, you can create other things, recolor, and really make them stylistic and add imagery and that kind of stuff. So you could do that kind of thing in Google Drawing. Now, it's not an image editor in the sense of, if you needed to cut, or crop an image, or apply different colors to a photograph. Google Drawing is not for that. It's really for vector graphic, sort of manipulation and chart creation. Now, it also doesn't, like if you pull in an Adobe Photoshop file, or if you pulled in an Illustrator file or InDesign file, it is not going to be able to edit those. Okay, so it uses its own proprietary format inside, and so you're creating vector graphics within it. You can export it to PNG and to several other vector graphics formats like SVG and so forth that open source editors can edit, but it does not pull in the Adobe Suite file types. So just FYI, it's probably why Google Drawing is not more widely used, because it is this sort of interesting internal tool that is used. But I've used it quite often to create just quick graphs, and it's always really helpful to have and to be able to then collaborate with people. Again, it's all about that collaborative quality, to be able to say, hey, does this chart look right? Does it look okay? And then to sort of move along and get it to finishing, and then you can just literally embed the Google Drawing into any Google Drive format. So whether it's a slide, a doc, a Google Sheet, whatever, you can just embed them directly from the interface. So really cool there. Okay. And then we get into the more powerful aspects of this, and I'll show you this in the demo as well, which is that Google Drive gets so much more power when you connect it to the other tools and services that are available within the Google Drive ecosystem. So Google has created a platform for people to be able to connect to Google Drive so that you can actually utilize their tools inside of Google Drive. This starts in the sense of having add-ons within Google Documents, where you can have writing aids to be able to do spell check and grammar check and tone check and plagiarism check and all kinds of other things, and also all the way out to having completely independent tools. Like if I needed to produce a Gantt chart, well, I could connect Gantter, which is a Gantt charting tool, to Google Drive, and when I create the Gantt chart, it automatically saves it in my Google Drive. So I'm creating it in the cloud, it's staying in the cloud, and I never have to worry about where's the right file, what's the most up-to-date version, and am I going to lose it for some reason? If this hard drive crashes, whatever might happen, it's automatically saved into Google Drive, and I have that ultimate security of having it up there. But I'll show you that in a little while. Okay, so going back to the person who was talking about intellectual property in terms of service, if I do not answer your question fully, feel free to ask the question again or ask clarifying questions. I'll be happy to answer those. But on the topic of intellectual property, I'm not going to speak to Google's personal, the Google terms of service for personal accounts. But what I am telling you is that as a business, you should have a Google Apps for Work account if you're going to be concerned about your intellectual property. So if there's any questions about intellectual property, you should be using the Google Apps for Work accounts, and you should be saving your data in Google Drive within your Google Apps account, because Google's terms of service basically say, and I'm subquoting my quote here, what belongs to you stays yours, right? That is clear within the Google Apps for Work accounts. Now, I would argue that that's probably the same case for personal accounts, but I'm not willing to bet my money on it. But for businesses, you should have a Google Apps for Work account, and within that account, save your documents within Google Drive. That way, your business data is your property and stays your property according to Google. Okay? Now, as it relates to whether or not Google can look at things, Google does not quote-unquote look at your data. Google does scan the data, so it does have the ability to take cross-sections of what the data is, why it's there. Like it'll say, well, how many Word documents do you have in Google Drive? How many Excel documents do you have in Google Drive? That's another thing. If you have the Chrome browser and you're using Google Drive can open native Microsoft Office documents like Word, PowerPoint, and Excel, and you can edit those live in the browser and save them in their native format. So you can actually do that, which is really great. But anyway, but the point is that Google Drive, Google then can also be subpoenaed by law enforcement or government agencies needing to seek out that data. Google challenges that quite frequently, so they do a pretty sturdy job of protecting your data on that side. But at the end of the day, if a government agency or law enforcement agency is looking for access to your documents and they have a legitimate reason for that subpoena, they can access your documents. So that's just the case of any data storage. I mean, really, if you have that on a laptop in your home or in your office, it's subpoenaable. So don't think that just because it's in the cloud it gives you any greater protection or less protection. It's just that they have to have a legitimate reason for being able to do so. So I would seek out business counsel, business legal counsel to go ahead and sort of deal with your specific situation. But in general, I think that it's appropriate for people to have a Google Apps for Work account and to put that data within Google Drive. Okay, so just wanted to cover that. And again, if I didn't fully answer the question for the questioner, feel free to go ahead and ask me clarifications on that. So with that, I want to jump over to Google Drive and walk us through the interface, because there's a lot to cover, and I want to make sure we can sort of go in there and poke around, and you can ask me questions about the various parts that we're really going to be playing around in. So first and foremost, you can see that I was actually in a Google Slides document that I'm presenting to you right now. All of the Google, Beyond Google, Marketing and Managing on the Web seminars, webinars are done using Google Slides. So you can see that it's a very competent tool for being able to do that. Tracy, was there a question?
Nope, they answered
Oh,
it.
okay. Okay, great. Okay, so I'm just taking you over to the main Google Drive interface, and as you can see here, this is the main interface when you log into the system. I have a bunch of folders, and there's a couple things that we can sort of do in the main system here. Okay, but let's just start out with the drop-down settings to the far right. On the far right-hand side, you can see that there's this download drive under the gear icon, okay, which is the settings icon. But that download drive is where you'll actually download the application. And you can see here, this is the application now. And so, as I said at the top, you download this application, you install it, it puts a folder onto your desktop, and that desktop folder becomes your Google Drive folder, right? And so you have the document here, and this happens to be my personal account, but anyway, it has all of the document stuff in here, and you can go ahead and change some preferences. So we're going to hop into the preferences for this particular account, and you can see that within this particular account, I have only some folders synchronized to this particular laptop, because I don't want all the documents on here, I just want some of them. So you can say everything in your drive should be synchronized to this localized desktop, or only these specific ones, okay? And so in this particular case, I have specific folders that are synchronized here. I have this particular Google Drive account details, which tells me how much storage I have and how much storage I need. I can always get more storage. If I click on the get more storage, it's going to take me over to the Google account login page. I'm not going to go to it. That's sort of useless right now. But once you go over to the Google account, buy more storage page, you're going to see the ability to buy additional storage. Okay, so for additional $2 a month, you get the 100 gigabytes additional. That's the same in Google Drive. In Google Apps for Work. So a lot of people don't get sort of miss that. But if you have a Google Apps for Work account and you're paying the $5 per month, basically the 30 gigabytes, you could just upgrade for additional storage. You don't have to go up to the $10 per month. It's when you need more than that that you then can upgrade to the $10 per month, and then you have unlimited. And that's only one user. So in my case, where I'm nearing my limit, I can upgrade to an additional 100 gigabytes just for me. And so if I have 3 other staff people, then I'm only additionally paying the $5 per user per month for them, and I'm not paying a full $10 per user for all of us across the board. But when you do upgrade to the unlimited storage, that is across the board. Okay, so it's sort of a jump in price. It's not that much no matter what, but I mean, you just want to pay attention. If every dollar matters, then you want to sort of pay attention to those little things. Okay, on the advanced setting tab, the only thing that really matters here are the system settings, which is whether or not you want to start Google Drive on system startup. I recommend that's a yes. You can send crash reports and usage statistics to Google, and that will just tell Google a little bit more information about when applications crash so that they can make the program more stable. And then you can see the show file sync status icons and the right-click menu, and that's the little icon down here that shows when the files are being synchronized. And if you right-click on particular documents in and on your, whether it's Mac or PC, you can then see the options to share via Google Drive. So I can right-click on a document in the Explorer window or in Finder on a Mac, and it will actually give me an option to go ahead and share that document, that file, and it doesn't matter the file, it could be any kind of file, via Google Drive. Okay, so that's what that's all about. So those are the preferences for Google Drive, the document itself. Okay, for the application itself, the one that actually sits natively on your desktop. When we go back to the Google Drive interface here, let's just go around the Google Drive interface. Okay, so now that's the downloaded application. That's that side. You download it. You put files in it. It synchronizes it up to here. So now this is your dashboard. Okay, everything's in here, and this is where you're going to sort of do most of your administration of your own files. I would decide on a file structure for Google Drive, and I would basically say don't put anything into my drive sort of naked, quote unquote, meaning that everything should be in a file folder. You should know everything in your business fits into some category, right? Whether that fits into a clients folder or reference or business planning or sales and marketing, it should fit into one of those hierarchies. So here on the left-hand navigation, you can see here that this is, Google Apps for Work account. This happens to be mine. So it has the W3 Consulting logo. Underneath it, it shows that I'm in Drive, and this takes me back to the home page, which is this My Drive page whenever I click on this particular link. If I click on New, it's going to open up new documents, and I'll talk about that in a little while. And then we go down to the left-hand navigation panel here where we have a couple of other items here. One is My Drive, and this gives us a drop-down menu of the file structure. So you can actually see here the file structure for the company, right? And you can see all the various high levels. So all of these high levels, this is in alphanumeric order, right? So alphabetical the numbers. I guess it's numbers then alphabetical. Either way. But then it goes B to W, and I have the ability to then have subfolders. You can see that I don't know if you can see this on your screen, but where there's a little head and shoulders, little icon with head and shoulders, those are folders that are shared with other people. Okay? Now there may be subfolders inside of this folder that are shared with other people, but you can see just from this drop-down menu that this particular folder, our clients folder, is shared with everyone in the company. So it has the little share icon. So that little head and shoulders, that little icon is for showing across the board when something is shared. It's just a quick view to see, oh, okay, the clients folder is shared with somebody. So if I put something in it, it's going to be automatically shared with somebody so that you know what's private and what's not. You can see here that the other areas of this business, of my particular business, are not shared with people. Some things that are in subfolders are, some things that are not, right? I'm not going to share human resources files with everyone in the company, so I have that ability to go ahead and share it with specific people within the company. Okay, now as we I'm just going to close that up. You have another section that's called Shared With Me. Now, when someone who is also using Google Drive shares something with you, it's going to show up in the Shared With Me. Okay, so that's what this is. So anytime someone says, oh, I shared it with you, you may or may not get an email because the person has a choice to initiate an email and give you an indicator that you have that document shared with you. So you would just want to, if they said they shared it with you, you go ahead and click on the Shared With Me link right here, and you'll be able to see what's been shared with you. Okay. Recent is basically everything that you have added or modified recently, and it shows it to you in a reverse chronological order, right? So that's pretty much how it works. And so starred is basically like any other starring. It's sort of like favoriting an item. But if you're working on 3 documents right now and you want to make sure that you always have access to those 3 documents and they're buried way deep in one of your folders, go ahead and just click on starred, and the starred documents will be available to you. Trash is trash. And while trash does not count against storage, trash is also deleted permanently after, I think, 30 days. So you want to make sure that you don't put anything in trash that you don't want deleted, because Google will, when it's ready, purge that trash and it will just go. Okay? So trash is trash. And so that's that. And so a couple things then. Next over is the center panel, and the center panel here is where you have the file listing. And the file listing gives you a couple of options. At the very top, it tells you the folder that you're sitting in, and on that folder that you're sitting in, it gives you a drop-down menu to be able to do a couple things. You can create a new folder within this folder. So in this particular case, since I'm in the highest folder, the My Drive, I can create a new folder. Below that, I can upload files. So I can upload a file from the website here. I can upload a particular file. I can also upload a folder. So I can upload an entire directory of stuff to Google Drive, which can be very handy. So you create a folder on your desktop and you're working on a couple of documents, or you receive an email from a client and it's a zip file with a folder in it with a bunch of stuff. Well, you can just then take that whole folder and upload it through this upload folder function within here. Again, you have also within this folder file, the new file function where you're capable of creating new documents, docs, sheets, slides, forms, and other formats directly from this thing. And this is going to create this directly inside this folder, right? Now, it's the same thing as since I'm in this folder, when I click on New, and it gives me the drop-down menu to be able to do that stuff, it's also going to create that. These documents are going to be created in the folder that is viewed within the center panel. Really important that you know that when you are in a particular folder, it's going to create that document in that folder that you're looking at, that's in focus. Okay. Now, staying in the center panel, in the next bar down, we have the toolbar for name, owner, and last modified sorting. Okay. So in this particular case, I can sort by name, I can sort by owner. I can sort by name and I can sort by last modified pretty easily and quickly, and that way you can see which particular items are, in view at any particular time, and you can see things in alphanumeric if you need to. Okay, so you can see right now I have it currently, sorted by last modified, and so these documents, these folders, it shows the last modification date of the folder, not particularly of the documents below them, because you can see here, I've certainly touched client files since November 21st, 2014, but I haven't actually modified the folder itself since 2014. So since I haven't changed anything about the client's folder itself, it's showing as last modified. Okay, so you can just see the differences between those particular things, and most often than not, it has to do with whether or not you've actually added anything into that specific folder. So for example, if I had all the client folders inside of clients, if I've added something there, then it considers it modified. But since I haven't actually added anything to the client's folder directly, that is in that directory itself, it's not a modification to the system. So that's just sort of how it works. Okay, next one over is the right-hand panel. This is the information panel. You can turn it on and off. So the details panel can be turned on and off. There's this little eye that's up here to the left of the gear icon. If I turn it off, it goes away. And you can then see the file size of any files that are in a particular directory that you're in. And if you open up the information, you can go ahead and see that, and you can see activity and all kinds of other things within here. So in this particular case, you can see in My Drive things that were added that were email attachments. I have an automated service that grabs my email attachments and throws them into an email attachments folder here in Google Drive. You can see that it went ahead and did that for me for a podcast that I'm launching, and you can see here it's edited a particular item. I've edited the slide, the presentation that I'm presenting to you now. So I went ahead and so it goes ahead and tells me that I edited that before we started. All kinds of really interesting things here to be able to do that. Now, if I click on a specific file, it will then show me the details for that specific file. So if I click on an image, it'll tell me the size of the image. It'll tell me how large the image is. It'll tell me when I last modified it and created it, and access the document. So the really cool part about this is that in here there's actually a notes section, and you can actually annotate files within Google Drive. I love doing that for documents where I'm sharing them with somebody and I want to know what's the hot potato, what's the next thing that needs to be done as it relates to this particular file. Because if it's an active file that I'm working on, then the next time I click on it, I'm going to see what's next about it, or what was wrong with the document that needed to be corrected, or whatever. And it's there, it's waiting for me as information right within the details panel, okay, details and activity panel. So really cool space for you to be able to do and sort of see that information. Okay, so moving back up one level though, over, you have the grid or list view. So currently the center panel, the center list panel, is shown in list view. I can turn that into a grid view. You can see here that it then puts the folder structure up at the top as little cards, and then any documents that might be, in my case, they need to be filed. These documents are now sitting in a card view, so I can actually see all of the various documents in a little bit larger of a view, so that maybe if I need to just sort of scan through and something stands out as a particular document, I can actually see it. Okay, I like list view. Some people like grid view. It's up to you. You have sort options. In this particular case, you can sort by last modified by me, name, last opened by me. Okay, so those are the options for being able to sort. Like I said, you can also just basically click on the two fields, and you can go ahead and do that from there. Okay, so those are the navigation panes. If we go of panels. If we go up one, you can see that you have a search drive function. The search drive function is very similar to Google search in the sense that it has operators that you can use in order to be able to search it. Now, if you're not comfortable or familiar with the search options, you do have a drop-down menu to be able to do some particular advanced search functions without actually knowing the operators. So for example, if I were looking for a particular presentation that I was going to be working on, and if I click on presentations, notice it types in for me, type : presentation. So it's going to look for anything that's a PowerPoint presentation, a Google slides file format, and the like. Okay, a Keynote, it's going to look for those kinds of files. I want to say it opens with Google Slides. So in this particular case, I'm going to look for something that only Google Slides will be able to open. Okay, and I want to make sure that it's owned by me. I don't want anything that's anyone else, and maybe I want it to say Google Drive. And when I do that search, lo and behold, it should show anything that matches the criterion. Look at that. You know, it has all of the presentations that have Google Drive, Google Slides application-based Google Drive in the name or in the body of that particular document. All right, so you could do some really sophisticated searches here. You can do by date, so you can actually say, you know, before a specific date. So if I type in before and then, you know, 2015, 05, 01, you know, it will then do those searches for those things that fit before that date. In this particular case, all of these are before that date. So I can say after. Okay, and you can see the only one that's after May 1st, 2015 is the one that I modified today. So you could do some very sophisticated searches to find exactly what you need within the Google Drive interface from this search bar. Okay, so I would say get familiar with the Google search operators and specifically the Google Drive search operators that work here, and you can just find things really, really quick and easily. Now, even if you don't know the search operators, you can pretty much find what you need from a natural language search. You know, if you just type in the name of the document or type the words that are in the particular document, you'll be able to then go ahead and find them. But generally, you should really learn the Google search operators and this Google search drive operators because it's so much faster to be able to find things when you know exactly how to find that thing on a granular level. Okay, so that's the Google search drive. Google Drive search drive field, and how that works. If you have any questions on how to find specific things, let me know, and I'm happy to answer those questions as well. All right, on the right-hand side of the search drive field, you have in this particular case, this is the Google Plus link. The one that says Plus Array there actually will take me to plus.google.com to my Google Apps version of my Google Plus profile. This one opens up my Google Apps, for work applications that are currently in my Google application launcher, and so that gives me the ability to jump out to email and to calendar and all the various other documents and sites and so on and so forth. If I have any notifications in Google Plus, this will be red and it will show me the number of notifications, and this allows me to the right of that to go ahead and create a new share on Google Plus. Okay, then you can see my headshot for this particular account. If I click on that, it gives me the ability to sign out, log into other accounts, and so on and so forth. Okay, so you can do some other things there as well. Okay, so let's go into the settings. I just want to take you into the settings, and I'm going to come back out, and we're going to actually walk through some of the internal functions of some of the documents. That is, documents, slides, and so on and so forth. I just want to show you the interfaces. We're not going to be able to get into, the details, the nitty-gritty of the actual documents, but I want to show you some of the things that it can do. Okay, so number one, right in the settings, you have to decide when you upload documents whether or not you are going to convert the documents to the Google Docs editor format. What that means is that if you upload a PowerPoint presentation to Google, do you want it to create a G-Slides document? That means it will no longer be a PowerPoint when you upload it to Google Drive. Now, here goes the catch-22. If you upload it as a G-Slides file format, that means it'll be a .gslides. That file will sit on Google servers, and that .gslides file in your Google Drive folder on your computer will no longer have the data in it. Let me repeat myself. When you convert a document from PowerPoint to Google Slides, G-Docs, G-Sheets, any Google Documents, Slides, Sheets, or otherwise editor format, they convert and sit only on the Google Drive, Google Apps for Work, Google Drive cloud storage account. What sits on your computer is nothing more than a link to that document. Why? Because you can only edit it in the cloud, and so therefore it's only a link to that document. None of the data for that file exists on your computer anymore. All right, so it's a major differentiator. Now the benefit for doing that is that that doesn't actually count against your cloud storage. So if you have, thousands of documents that are all Google Docs editor format, then those actually don't count against your storage. What counts against your storage is anything that is not .gdocs, .gslides, .gsheets, and so on and so forth. Okay, so when they're native applications like .doc, .docx, .xlsx, those kinds of Microsoft Office, .jpg, .png, image formats, videos, .mov, .mp4, whatever the video files are, and those kinds of image files and audio files, those will count against your storage. Okay? Really, really important. You get to decide. Now notice I don't convert any of them. I want the native documents to be native, and I want the ones that I create within Google Drive to be the ones that are Google Drive documents. Okay? That's just how I feel. That's, everybody has their preference. Now in this particular case, I have the language setting set to English because I speak English. You can change that to your own native language, okay, here in this setting. Now I would recommend that if you're going to do that, I would change that setting in Google Apps for Work in your google.com/accounts area, which is where you would manage all of your sort of, universal language settings, okay? But you can change it here just specifically in this application. Google Drive has an offline mode, so if you're going to get on an airplane, go out on the boat, and you want to do some document editing like I did this past weekend, you would go ahead and put this into offline mode. What Google does is it downloads all of all the documents that are in your Google Drive and goes ahead and puts them into your Chrome browser window. So your browser basically, creates a little mini database, and now you have all of those documents available to you to be able to edit in offline mode. Okay, really great for that kind of, away from a computer, away from the web. Just make sure that when you get back to the web, you take it out of offline mode so that it's capable of synchronizing back and saving your data up to the cloud. Next is density. Density is where you get the opportunity to just change the sort of spacing. So I'm going to go comfortable. It's currently under comfortable. When I change it to compact, you'll see when I click in here, you probably can't see this here, but all the stuff is just sort of closer together and a little smaller. I don't see it that much, maybe just because the size of my screen is too big, but you can go ahead and do that. Okay, so you can change it from cozy to compact to comfortable. Next down is the Manage Apps. Okay, so this is basically everything that is currently connected to your Google Drive. Now, that means you want to sort of check this on occasion, just in case you've created a service and someone might surreptitiously gain access to your account and those kinds of things. But you can actually go in here and manage all the applications that you've connected to your Google Drive, and you can shut them off. You can say, this is not mine, I want to disconnect it. Maybe a service goes out of business. You don't want your data out there, connected to Google Drive anymore. This is where you can manage it under the Manage Apps section. Okay. All right. So let's hop out there. Any questions about the setup and how Google Drive functions in that regard? I mean, it's pretty prima facie, but if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Okay, so back at the main Drive space here, I want to go through and just show you the different documents. Okay, so I'm going to just create a couple new documents here. In this particular case, I'm going to start with Google Docs. I'm just going to drop down I clicked on the red icon, drop down to New. This is going to create a new untitled document within my Drive because that's the folder I was in. And now when I go to it, it's a Word document editor. So I can type in the page. Okay, so it's just going to type as I type, and everything I type will show up on the page. As I'm typing it, Google is saving it. Okay, Google saves everything that happens on this page, and you can see up here that it says everything is automatically saved up to the second of saving. Now there's sometimes some latency, but for the most part, if you have a good computer and a solid broadband internet connection, unless you're in offline mode, and then that doesn't matter. But if your computer's working and is operable and it doesn't crash, it will just save everything automatically to Drive. You don't really have to click a save button or anything like that. Okay, there is no save button, as you can see. So it goes ahead and does that. You can see you have the navigation bar, and I'm not going to go into these specific details, but you can just sort of see that you can create and live collaborate and edit in the documents here. So just want to go over some of the share settings and some of the chat settings and so on and so forth. So when you share a document, you can then go ahead and skip. I want to go ahead and so in this particular case, you can go ahead and share with others. So I can type in anyone's email address. They'll get an invitation to go ahead and look at the document. If I click on this Get Shareable link, what that does is it turns this document into a document link that anyone in my company can see. Now I can change that link and say anyone with a link, right, can see this by clicking on the More. If, say, you're sending it to a client and they're not within your W3 Consulting Google Apps for Work account, I can go, anyone with this link can see this. Now, this is not indexed by Google. I would have to make it public in order to do that. So this is a non-public link, but if anyone has that link, they can see it. Okay, so no sign-in required. They can see it. Okay. Now, I can also change it so that someone can comment. Now notice, no sign-ins required. So a person does not have to have a Google account in order to be able to access it with this link and comment, which is really powerful, right? If you don't want to have to give any special rights or access or inconvenience your client with having to have them create a Google account when they don't want one, you could just go ahead and send them this link. They'll be able to comment on the document and so on and so forth. Now this is commenting that I just gave power to. I'm not actually going to give power to them, and I'm going to turn off the linking here and just make this private document again. And so this is a private document again, and you know that's a private document because up here in the top right hand corner it has the lock icon and it says private only to me. Okay, so that's when you know. When it shows the little head and shoulders icon, I keep thinking that I'm giving a commercial for the hair conditioner, but hair shampoo. But no, when the head and shoulders icon shows in the top right hand corner, it is telling you that this is the lock icon, that it's for you. When the head and shoulders icon is appearing, then it's for that is saying you're sharing with someone else. So that's how you know, and just gives you a pretty quick at a glance view of who sees what. Then you have the options of chatting with those people when they are live in the document at the same time you are. Okay, so you can only chat with someone live when there's someone to chat with. Otherwise, you're always commenting. Okay, so it opens up a commenting thread. You can add a comment. So in this particular case, say I want to comment on the sentence that I just typed, the clause that I just typed here. And you can see I've highlighted that particular item. I could just pick a particular point in it, and I could say, I am typing a comment. Now, anyone who has access to this particular shared document will then see these comments and will be able to respond to the comment. Once that particular issue has been resolved, I can click on Resolve, and the comment goes away. Okay, so that's really the sharing collaborative function. If I want to change the title of the document, I click on the name of the document, and I can go ahead and rename the document here. Okay. So you can just rename the document. Again, I can star this. This was, of course, created in the My Drive folder, and there's a little folder icon for me to be able to move the folder. So if I want to move it from My Drive to another folder, I click on that folder. You can see that it's currently in My Drive because that's when I clicked on New. It was in that folder when I created. I can move it to another place. Based on that, I can create a new folder here, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's pretty much the interface. Now, as I said when in some of the top slides, you have the ability to extend Google Drive in a lot of ways. And I'm just going to show you this in Google Docs because it's the easiest one to show it to you in. But in this particular case, I preloaded an add-on called ProWriting Aid. Right? And so you can see that there's some free and some premium. Basically, you have to pay for these services, and these are free to you, but they give you some additional writing tools. So in this particular case, I want to go ahead and just click on cliches and redundancies check, all right? And so what Google does is it goes ahead and says, oh, we need some more permissions from you. I'm going to say yes for the permissions, and it's going to go ahead and give me the permissions to do that. Wonderful. And let's go down to accept. And you can see all the various things that they're asking you access to. In this particular case, they're just asking for my email address, the ability to see this document that they're accessing, and then they're going to analyze that particular document. Now, this happens to be a writing aid because I'm in Google Docs, but you know, each of the various add-ons fit to their particular function. So in Google Sheets, you're going to have add-ons that match Google Sheets. In Google Slides, you're going to have them that match that as well. So here it's going to give you a redundancy report. It's going to tell you whether or not you're redundant, and you can see some information about that there. So really helpful for being able to see basic information about what cliches and whatever, if you're using acronyms, all those kinds of things that you want to pay attention to as it relates to this. So very, very helpful to be able to add these add-ons. If you just go to add-ons and then get add-ons, you'll see the various and the variety add-ons that are available. Okay, so in this particular case, if you need photography, citation, or templates within the gallery system, tables of contents. I mean, you just name it. If there's you need to do in the document, there's likely a plugin in here for you to be able to do it. Okay, so Uber Conference lets you host a teleconference with your Google Doc in it, so people can look at the document and you can talk together at the same time. Pretty brilliant. You can see here, your conference call number and PIN, and the document right next to it. So you can be discussing the document or working in the document at the same time. Okay, so all kinds of cool stuff. All right, in the add-ons section. All right, I'm going to take us back out of this, and so that's the case with all the documents, right? But say there is, some other application that you particularly need. Oh, by the way, just pointing to one more minor item is that I have here from template. When you click on the from template, it's going to take you to a template directory, which is the Google Docs template directory. And this is again an app that I connected to and is an add-on, and I'm going to go ahead and log into it. And now what I'm doing is I'm accessing the Google Docs or the Google Drive template directory through my Google Apps for Work account. And you can see here, W3 Consulting, we don't have any templates. We haven't created any templates for our domain, but we can go to the public templates directory, and you can see here that if I need an accounting workshop sheet, or if I need a presentation template, well, here they all are. I have there's calculators and plans and cards, labels, all kinds of stationery and fax cover sheets and resumes and cover letters, statistics, whatever you might need. There is likely something to give you a starting point. Okay, so you can go ahead and do that. Now, if you wanted to publish templates, you can go ahead and do that, and then you can go ahead and have published templates within your directory for, say, your staff or for the public to be able to utilize. So if you wanted to be able to create a document that other people were using, and you could apply your own branding to it and all those kinds of things to give you a little bit of extra publicity, you could totally do that here within the template directory and the template gallery. So really, really cool stuff. Okay, so we're going to head back over here. I'm going to click on New, and what I want to do is I want to look at the various applications that I can connect to Google Drive. And so I'm just going to show you them, and I've connected a couple so you can just sort of see what they're all about here. Okay. But in this particular case, I've connected to the app to Google Drive, and here I have a whole host of different things that I might need to do. So in this particular case, there's a video creation tool if I wanted to do video editing, and if I scroll down, I've got options for mind mapping if I needed to edit, sign, and then share a PDF document. There goes an application to help me do that as well. And PicMonkey, here goes a true photo editor. So if I needed to do some cropping, teeth whitening, as it says here, in some fonts, typefaces, and applying some language on top of the picture, I can go ahead and do that using PicMonkey, or Pixlr Express, which I'll show you in a little bit. The Pixlr editor, Pixlr Express. This is the one that I was going to show you. This one allows you to crop, resize, fine-tune the image. It's like Adobe Photoshop in the cloud, and it's right there in Google Drive. Okay, really, really cool. If you need to do diagrams, you've got a Lucid Chart to be able to do diagrams. If you want to listen to music within Google Drive, you can put your music and audio files into Google Drive. In my case, the podcasts, I want to make sure that I can listen to the podcast audio, and you can't do that natively within Google Drive, so I just have the music player for Google Drive. I connect it, and I can go ahead and listen to those within Google Drive. Drive Notepad is really cool. It's a text editor, and it allows you to create text files within Google Drive. So if you're doing any kind of programming, like if you wanted to write in HTML or PHP or Java or whatever, you can actually open up Drive Notepad and edit in there. I like to take actual notes in text format, and I can have them there within the Drive Notepad. Okay, so I don't want to belabor this. There's a lot of applications in here. There's a fax service. You can have HelloFax, or which is also a partner to HelloSign, which allows digital signing, right signature, and all kinds of other things here. So lots and lots of different options within here. I talked about Gantt before, and I just showed you templates, the Google Drive template gallery. But there are so many different services within here that you can add to the functionality of Google Drive, and to really make it amazing. Okay, mind mapping, all kinds of really cool stuff. There's even an audio. You can dictate notes into a Google Drive format, and then when you want to create a new document, they're already here. So in this case, if I wanted to just create a new Pixlr document, if I wanted to go ahead and edit a new image, I could just open up Pixlr. And in this case, I haven't before approved it, so it's going to ask me to approve, to sign in again. And then what it's going to do now is it's going to open up Pixlr Express, and it'll show me the format. Now again, whatever I do in here, it's going to save right back to my Google Drive, because I've gone ahead and created that. So here I am. I can browse for documents right within my my Google Drive, or I can open up a URL. I can take a picture of myself, and then I can get to editing. Okay, so it allows me to be able to just quickly and easily do those kinds of things within the system. All right, so you can just keep adding to the functionality of these, and then of Google Drive, and then whenever you need a document for those things, if I need a new note to take, note text document, I just open up the Drive Notepad, and it goes ahead and opens up that text editor, and now I can just start taking notes. Right? Here goes an untitled.txt file, and I can just go ahead and start taking notes within it. Okay? So that's Google Drive. I'm going to take us back to the slides, and then we can answer any questions before we close out. We have a couple more minutes, and I just want to make sure we answer any questions that you might have. So with that, Tracy, are there any questions that folks have for me?
Right now we don't have any questions, so I'll go ahead and close out the webinar. Everyone, if you have any questions, please go ahead and type those into the question window, and actually we do have a question. Besides the intellectual property question, would there be any other reasons not to use a personal account to store non-sensitive business data?
Yes. So first and foremost, you want to make sure that you have the best protection, and the security algorithms that are used across all of Google is actually very secure. So that I'm not so much concerned about. But more importantly than anything else, personal accounts are attacked more often than business accounts. So just from a risk mitigation perspective, because you have more opportunities to have personal accounts attacked on the Google side, having a business account sort of shields you by being less of a target. Okay, so it just happens to be the case right now. That might shift in the future. So that would be the only other reason. You can have file storage, you can have all of those kinds of things, but from an owning your own intellectual property perspective, I think it's important that you pay attention to that. But I mean, you can start, with a personal account and then upgrade once you're ready. But it becomes a little bit complicated, not starting out the gate, with the infrastructure in place. So it depends on whether you have an IT staff and whether or not you have a managed service provider, basically someone who does IT for you. And so, sort of figure out the requirements for your business, and then choose appropriately. I think that having the Google Apps for Work with your email and calendar and Google Drive and all the other products sort of built into it in one piece, it just gives you such peace of mind, and I've spoken before
Ray?
being able to.
Okay, you cut out
Yes.
there for a second.
Oh, sorry. So what did I where did I cut out?
Just a second before you cut back in. So,
Oh, okay, okay, yeah. So having lost a person on staff before, it's really important for you to have those kinds of protections, and that's the thing that Google Apps for Work does. If and so that means if you have staff, you definitely need Google Apps for Work.
okay. Another question. I have people share Excel sheets with me through Google Drive, and when I open and try to edit them, I seem to have to use Google Sheets to do so. I want to simply use Excel, which is what I'm used to and know how to use. Is there a way to do that without having to download the document first to my computer?
No. So that's the simple question. That simple answer. You would if you have it shared with you, you can actually put it into Google Drive, the online storage application that sits on your desktop, and then it will just be an Excel document. You open it up, you edit it using Microsoft Excel, you save it, close it, and it goes back to synchronization, and the person who's shared it with you will see the same document synchronized. But if you open it from the Google Drive web interface, it will open in Google Sheets, even if it's keeping the document as a as a Microsoft Excel document. It will still open it within Google Sheets because that's the only tool. It's not Microsoft Excel, so it can't open the Microsoft Excel document in Excel. It can only open it in Google Sheets to allow you to edit it and then save it back to Excel. And that's if you're using Google Chrome and the Google Chrome Google Drive extension that allows for editing native Microsoft Office application file formats.
Great. Well, we don't have any more questions, so let me go ahead and close up the webinar. Thanks everyone for participating today. Today's webinar was recorded and it'll be posted on the Virginia SBDC website under live webinars and recordings. Tomorrow you'll be receiving a follow-up email on this webinar and there'll be an evaluation link in the email. Please help us to continue to improve our training by filling out the evaluation. I also posted that in the chat window, so you can fill it out now if you prefer. And we'll see everyone on June 11th for taking and sharing notes on the webs. Thanks for participating today.